Well,
Well,
I don't.
the,
I don't even know. I don't even remember what we talked about last week.
I don't really remember either. That's why I've got notes. But I can tell you one thing: I just spilled coffee on the desk, so I'm trying to clean up a sugar mess. One thing we got to talk about is, well, as usual, making sure that we're live. I downloaded a new bleeding edge version of our software today, so hopefully everything turns out okay.
Well, as it would turn out, that bleeding edge software technology is not disenfranchising. The I'm watching the number climb right now, 7 and
Hey,
going up and going 17. It's
hey, we're
popping.
double digits. We're double digits. That's good.
Yep, it's going. It's going. Y'all are getting here. So hey, as you're coming on the show, check in, type a comment, say hello, let us know
Yeah.
you're there.
Let
Helps
us
us
know you
to
can hear the audio and all that sort of good thing. I'm trying to check real quick and, make sure we're actually live on Facebook. It's always a crapshoot.
So hey, Rex, I'm going to make my wife mad because while we're live on the show, I'm sitting here popping gummy bears.
Really? Hey, I
Yeah.
like I like gummy bears. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I really like gummy bears. You should see the jug of gummy bears I got. This is
I
going to last
rem-
me to next Christmas.
I remember when I was a kid, my uncle had gotten some from some friend of his from Germany or something. It was like when the gummy bears first came out. This was like, back when I was 10 or 11 years old. And I was like, wow, what are these things? He's like, I don't know. I only have one bag of them. And so we had to wait. It was a long time before they actually came out. All right, so I'm making some adjustments to my network, which I should have already done as usual. Let's see. Oh, look, Barry Butler's there. Carrie Siska's there. That's always a good thing. All right, let me
Yeah, see,
deprioritize that.
I'm seeing no comments already. So,
None?
yeah, I don't see any. So,
You don't see Barry's comment on Facebook and Carrie Siska's comment saying howdy?
well, I am not watching or looking at it through Facebook. As you know, like there's a lot of people that watch that are not doing it just through Facebook because look,
Oh, are you
Facebook
watching through YouTube?
Facebook are the new Nazis. Didn't you
Oh,
know?
well, no, I wasn't aware.
Hey, I see Jessica Maddox saying hello, Duke.
Yeah, there we go. There's somebody. So yeah, see,
Yeah.
I can even put some of them up on the screen, like that and like
So
that. And,
if everybody watching, if you want to know the secret to Facebook, like shadow banning you or getting you out, I can tell you exactly how to do it or to get their attention. All you have to do is make some post, regardless, about Hunter Biden. That's all you got to do. Just with any picture, and they will say that you're some sexual pervert. It doesn't matter. All clothes. All you got to do is just something with Hunter Biden with a picture of him, and they will ding you. That's all you got to do.
I am still yet to be banned from Facebook. I've never
Well,
been in Facebook jail.
I'm telling you what to do. You want me to send you a Hunter Biden picture? Do you
Uh,
need one? I'll send
no,
you
I
one,
really,
and you
really,
can
really
try it
don't.
out.
I really, really, really,
You can
really
try it
don't.
out. And Kara won't be joining you tonight or us on this show because guess what?
Hmm?
She's in Facebook jail again because
Again? She's like there every week.
but guess why? She shared another picture of Hunter Biden.
Wait, I have to ask though, why was she sharing a picture of Hunter Biden?
I don't know. It was some story or whatever. It's like the only time in the history of me being on Facebook that I've gotten like put in jail was because I shared a picture of Hunter Biden. I had no idea.
Mm.
Apparently she's known this and she did it again this week. I guess she was getting too
Je-
used to being on.
Jessica Langley Maddox says, Rex, you are politically correct. These days on my personal timeline, I don't really share as much, but go back in time a couple of years and you might change your comment there just a little bit, Jessica, in my defense of being politically sort of correct. I don't know. What do we have on tap for tonight? Obviously, the big elephant, or rather the beaver in the room is Bucky's is coming to Ruston, not Bossier. So we're going to have to talk about that. It was like blowing up in my news feed and all that sort of stuff.
Well, interestingly, I have somebody from out of town around College Station messaging me wanting to know about if I'll have crawfish in April. a
Oh,
lot of
well,
a lot of people on our show may not realize it. I have a crawfish farm. I used to do
yes.
really big crawfish business and had most of the casinos. If you ate at the casinos, you probably had my crawfish, but that was years ago. Let it all go. Kind of getting back into it. We in, but interestingly, people are starting to call again.
Hmm.
Who knew? But
Hmm.
but tonight's show, not to change the subject. Yes, of course, you've been all on top of this Bucky's thing, and I know that you feel slighted because you are a Bucky's guy. I can see it in your eyes.
Well, it's one of those things. First and foremost, if we go by a Bucky's within an hour of Bucky's, my wife has to stop because she absolutely is eat up with Bucky's. But I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with Bucky's too. I mean, I don't mind spending my money there. It is true about their bathrooms. It is true about their food and everything that they have in that store and their endless supply of gas pumps. I mean, you can't beat the thing. There's a reason that they're so successful.
Well,
And
I'm just wondering.
unfortunately, Ruston beat us to the punch. But I'm
Well,
glad it's only about an hour away.
apparently Bucky's didn't get a ride in the Tahoe. That
I
has
don't
to
know.
be the issue here.
Has to be the issue. We're also going to talk a little bit about our favorite Congress critter, he who walketh on water, Mike Johnson.
Oh yeah, the conservative, the
Yeah.
constitutional conservative. That comes before everything. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And hey, what do y'all think about those red light cameras coming into Bossier to catch all you people running them red lights and speeding and blowing through those school zones? How y'all all feel about that? Just
Yeah.
wondering because there's some people in Bossier City that want you to be caught by the camera.
Yeah. It could be interesting. Well, I've got my opinion on it, and I'll save it for the little bit later on in the show. Also, we want to talk about crowdsourcing information requests and just, doing things in general. We talked about this sort of before, so we'll talk about it a little bit more. And also encouraging other people to have a voice. And maybe one of the friends of our show, a former amigo, as a matter of fact, he might be getting a little vocal out there. So we'll talk about that too.
And we'll kind of touch on the governor's race here a little bit because there's been
Yeah.
some happenings this week on the governor's race.
Yeah, there is. And we would encourage everybody, we're about to go to our countdown and all that kind of good stuff this week. While we're doing that, make sure, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, it doesn't matter. Make sure and share this out. Text a friend, tag a friend, all that sort of thing. Because we enjoy having each and every one of you here and commentating, if that's a real word, on the show. So let's go ahead and do our countdown this week and our intro, and we will be right back.
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
In all honesty, we try to lay low a little bit because of the fear that we would not be able to camp there.
And I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Hello everybody. I don't think I've ever done a video before on here, but yeah, I wanted to tell y'all what frustrates me a little bit about permits.
Cockroach of the week is, drumroll please, Allie Feaster Smith.
We can't be apathetic about what's going on in our state. We have to all pull up our bootstraps and get on top of this. So you're right. There's a problem out there. I mean, and man, you can see it everywhere.
Well, look, we have allowed government to become our wherewithal to everything.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
You're about to be killed by his voting, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes.
This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by David B. Womack for all your contracting and construction needs. The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting is an IWTP customized training provider with over 25 years of success to show for it. Call them for a free consultation today. Pelican Training and Consulting matches employers with 50-plus employees with training dollars. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And we're back. And hey, right off the bat, I would like to thank, we did have a couple of small donations come in last week, and we sold a couple of coffee mugs. So,
how about that?
That is awesome.
So I just dropped an image. You know, we were kind of asking what was going on tonight. Seemed a little slow. Not as many people. I mean, there's nothing earth shattering that we posted up that we'd be talking about tonight. So
Right.
I guess that comes with the territory being low. But what is going on tonight? Hey, the Chamber of Commerce Bossier Chamber of Commerce having their annual banquet thing, and put a little picture in the comments of the in the folder of the event.
Let's see.
I just put it in, so it doesn't have a cut number.
Okay. Well, let's see. Should show up in a minute. It hasn't shown up yet. Okay.
No.
Well.
Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of people at the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, a lot of politicos, you know, the chamber types, the business people, probably a lot of folks that watch our show. They're there.
Yeah. Well, and hey, you got to give Lisa Friday Johnson some credit with the chamber. She's, come on and give us some commentary before and all that and participated in the show. So, give her a little credit where it's due to.
Well, maybe she could talk about Buc-ee's and why did Bossier miss out on a Buc-ee's? I don't know.
Well, maybe so. But I'm sure she's busy doing her meeting, but maybe she can come on later. Maybe she can break from her meeting, though, and give us a little commentary on the Buc-ee's situation. Let's face it. Buc-ee's pays well.
Buc-ee's does, but I got to tell you, I'm thinking that Lisa may have scared Billy Nungesser out of the race. I mean, the thought of having to bungee jump off the Jimmy Davis Bridge, I mean, he's out. He's gone. He said, the heck with that. I'm not going to be governor. I'm done.
Well, that's interesting. So, who is that going to leave that's really a viable candidate? I mean, it's pretty much Jeff and Jeff and Jeff. Well, I don't know. Is Schroeder still in it?
Well, hey, after in which, Nungesser came out and said that, and anyway, I have a link to it, but anyway, Nungesser came out and said that he's backing out of the race. He's not going to run. Schroeder jumped up and Schroeder said, hey, I'm in it. I'm running.
Yeah.
Well. So, now it looks like, as the way that thing's going to shape up, you're going to have Jeff Landry, the Attorney General, is going to be in the race, which that's no secret. I mean, he announced some time ago the state party actually endorsed him. John Schroeder jumped up. John was on our show. And remember, John last year said that, when he made a decision, he was going to, he would end up coming back on the show and he would talk about it. So we need to try to talk to him and see about getting him back on the show. But he has jumped up and told his supporters that he was going to run. Quite a few other people are in the hunt to be in that. Now, from the Democrat side, I would say that John Schroeder and Jeff Landry are the top two Republican candidates. As for the Democrats, the name that keeps popping up is DOTD Secretary Sean Wilson.
Really?
And yeah, so I'm not sure about that one. I mean, a lot of people were saying Sean Wilson for governor, and his motto was detours and delays.
Detours and delays, and The bumpy
that
I-20
was
and everything else that can go along with it.
that was going to be the campaign slogan. I mean,
Yeah.
is what I understand. I don't know.
Well, of course, he shares the bumping I-20 along with shares that responsibility with Mike Johnson and a whole host of other folks too. By the way, that's a federal state partnership. Blah 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 blah. And even worse, they dangled the candy out in front of us that they were going to start construction on I-20, and then they yanked it away. The state did because, well, it was going to cost more than they thought.
That's right. Well, you got another Democrat in the race. If Sean Wilson doesn't do it for you, Helena Moreno. Do you know Helena Moreno? Any of y'all watching? Do you know who that is?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, Helena Moreno I had no idea. I thought she was just a state representative. I can tell you she's from New Orleans. I mean, I was actually at the Capitol the day she was sworn into office. I'm pretty confident it was in a special election. She was elected to the House of Representatives. And, but I guess she didn't run for re-election, or she ran for the City Council of New Orleans, but I'm told she is the New Orleans City Council president. So, with that alone, I would argue that that is a platform for a statewide race. A lot of people are like, well, wait a minute, you're just a city councilman for one city in the state. How does that get you to a statewide election? Well, I would point you back in history to some statewide races where the city of New Orleans decided statewide races, including David Vitter's race.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's a good point. Of course, and I'd like to sit here and be the cynic and say, well, you look at the, shape and reputation of the city of New Orleans, and there's no way that she could become governor, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, and you've got a few other folks out there that are not as well known as others. You got a state rep by the name of Richard Nelson, who's kind of jockeying about throwing his name. I don't know if it's so much for him about just trying to get his name maybe heard across the state a little bit more, and in that regard, he's successful because we just talked about it. I would feel pretty confident nobody in Bossier even knows who the heck he is. Now, Sharon Hewitt, State Senator Sharon Hewitt. Now, Sharon Hewitt is a name that a lot of folks may know. I know it well. She actually helped me on trying to amend the wildlife and fisheries bill that all of you are now paying increased rates and fees. She made an amendment in the Senate Natural Resources Committee for me. The amendment ended up failing, but I will say this: it exposed, some things with wildlife and fisheries and the monies that they were getting, and hat tip to her on that.
Yeah. Well, it could end up being interesting. Who else? Is there anybody else?
One more little bitty name that's being thrown around, and you may have heard of it before. It's a little guy that happens to be a congressman from, the eastern part of the state. Garrett Graves.
Oh, really? Yeah.
His name's being cast around. Now, I'll tell you, Garrett is very popular with a lot of the business folk in and around Baton Rouge, but I don't think Garrett has a lot of sway over here in Northwest Louisiana, and he certainly doesn't have any sway in Southwest Louisiana. And arguably, a lot of people define Louisiana in statewide elections north and south. In this case, I really think you ought to be looking at it east and west, because the Acadia parishes and Northwest Louisiana, I would argue, are a Jeff Landry stronghold. All he has to do is get a piece, just a piece of, Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and he's in the driver's seat. And I'm going to say that Billy Nungesser, that's what the calculation that Billy Nungesser made was, look, he's not going to be able to beat Landry in Southwest Louisiana. He, at best, could do a draw in Northwest Louisiana with Landry. And, down there in Orleans and all that. I mean, with a competitive Democrat in the race, I mean, he's not going to be able to pull a majority of the Democrat to outweigh the Acadia and Northwest Louisiana votes. So
Yeah.
I think he made a calculated decision that, you know what, it's just not a doable plan. Now, how Schroeder can put it together, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least, and hopefully it doesn't result in the election of another Democrat.
Well,
Sorry for our Democratic Party watchers, if we have any, and those that tend to lean a little bit on the left side.
Well, here's the way I see it coming down. I see it coming down to a runoff between Jeff Landry and Sean Wilson. That's the way I see it. Unless another Democrat, more prominent, jumps up there, that's the way it's going to be. John Schroeder will make a good run for it. I mean, look, you and I don't know that there's anything we disagree with John Schroeder. I mean, great guy, great candidate.
Yeah.
That's a tough one right there between him and Jeff because they're both good guys.
Yeah, I would be happy with either one, getting the nod, but we'll have to see how it turns out.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, our good friend David Womack says conservatives stick together and move forward. Yeah, that's sticking together. That's a tough one, too, as we've seen on the national level.
Wait a minute. Did he not watch any of the, House of Representatives? I'm talking about the U.S. House. Did he not watch any of that with McCarthy? Conservatives stick together. He said that with an exclamation point. Wait a minute.
Well, we have to talk about this, though, because there may be the point that the conservatives were actually sticking together.
Wait a minute, who was
there was just about 20 of them.
Who was that famous writer that made that quote about exclamation points? People that use exclamation points. Walt Whitman, or who was it?
I don't know, exclamation point. But anyway.
I'll think of it in the end here, but good grief.
Yeah.
Maybe he knows the answer to walk on water on this one.
Maybe so. All right, so let's check off the governor's race, and shall we talk about the Beaver first, or shall we talk about MJ?
Well, you are all up in air about the Beaver. I mean,
I'm not really all up in air about it. I knew about the construction over on the Tar Button Road exit for a while, let's put it that way, and that there was a possibility that it was going to happen. But I guess two things. One, instead of having to drive to Terrell, we'll only have to drive to Ruston. And I could be in Buc-ee's, assuming there's no accident on the interstate or something like that. I could be at Buc-ee's now within 45 to 50 minutes. Easy. No sweat.
Now, wait a minute. You're telling me that people literally get in their car and drive to Terrell just to go to Buc-ee's?
Yes, I am telling you, people literally do that. My wife being one of them. My kids have even done it before. I'm telling you, that's how much they draw. It's insane. And I hate, this is not a promotion of Buc-ee's, but I actually like Buc-ee's. They've got good sweet tea. Are you in shock?
I love your wife and I love your kids, but I'm sorry, I'm not driving to Buc-ee's in Terrell just to be able to go to Buc-ee's.
I don't either.
I don't care if they got a good sweet tea or not.
If I'm driving by there anyway, okay, I'll stop. But I'm not making a special trip just to go to Buc-ee's. That's,
But I get it. You know what? There's something for everybody. And if driving to Buc-ee's to Terrell, if that's your thing, I mean, I get it. Okay.
All right.
But now you're saying that you're only going to have to drive to Ruston. So that's a good thing.
Right. Yeah, I'll drive to Ruston and back. I'll drive to Ruston to go eat barbecue and, every now and then go see a couple of friends of mine. So driving to Ruston's nothing.
Wait a minute. You got somebody that agrees. Laura Newbert. She said, yeah, drive to Terrell to go to Bucky's.
I'm telling you, people do it. I have not made a trip. To be clear, I have not made a trip myself just to Terrell just to go to Bucky's. I have not done that. I'll stop if we're going by, but my family is not the only one that has done this.
Oh, I have no doubt. But I'm just telling you, I'm not driving all the way to Terrell just to go to Bucky's. I got to have some other reason to go over there. I
See
do.
there, Carrie's backing me up. He said, yes, they do. My wife, Anissa, will drive just to go to Bucky's. See, I told you.
How long do y'all hang out there? Do you stay like 5 minutes? You go in there and you get your tea
Oh,
and
no,
then
no,
you
no, no,
walk
no,
out?
no.
Or you just
It is never a 5-minute ordeal at Bucky's, ever. I don't know what their average customer, retention is. Well, it wouldn't be retention or how much the average time the average customer spends in there. Of course, they've got all those marketing numbers, but it's not 5 minutes, ever. Never, ever.
Well, okay. So they're coming to Ruston. Obviously, they're not coming to Bossier. So Tommy Chandler didn't go drive them around in the Tahoe. Obviously, that wasn't on his radar. Lisa Johnson obviously didn't tell them that, hey, we're going to be bungee jumping off the Jimmy Davis Bridge. They didn't tell them that.
Right.
So, I mean, where did we drop the ball, or what's going on here?
Honestly, I don't know. I was listening to Keel this morning, and I always want to say Robert Nairn. Who is it? Mike and McCarty, or whatever they're calling the show now. Anyway, they had the mayor of Ruston on, Ronnie, and he didn't disclose the details yet because they still hadn't finalized the cooperative endeavor agreement, apparently, and the school board over there still had to vote on some issues, and the police jury on some tax abatements or whatever they're going to end up doing to, sweeten the pot. But he did say that the state was not involved, and the state, what is he, marketing guy or whatever the guy's title is officially, he said that the state doesn't actually get involved unless it's an industrial business, that the state doesn't actually get involved in retail. So.
Okay, well, then I want to know, if we can get a Bucky's, why can we not get a Crystal Burger over here?
Well, I want to know why we can't get a lot of things over here. Let's see. Let me put this screenshot up. Here we go. All right. So Bucky's Travel Center, this is from Lincoln Parish News Online. Bucky's Travel Center will be locating. The council voted unanimously to approve a cooperative endeavor agreement with CSMS Management LLC. Blah, blah, blah. No details of the agreement, nor terms, incentives, or tax breaks the city has promised were revealed. Those details will be announced later. This is a tremendous project. They're anticipating, Bucky's is anticipating hiring like 200 employees. Bucky's usually lives up to its word on the number of employees, and I've never seen a Bucky's when it wasn't insanely busy, ever.
All right. Carrie Siska says White Castle burgers. Okay, Carrie, I'm sorry. You can get those at Sam's. They got them in the freezer back there.
Oh, really?
Womack, tennis courts. I'm sorry. How many people that visit Bucky's do you think plays tennis? I mean, what, 0.5%? Come on now. And you and them exclamation points.
Yeah, no kidding.
Use a period.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, my mom's on. She says she will certainly drive a couple of hours to go to Bucky's and definitely go to Ruston. Jackie, hope I say this right. Jackie Coral Morales, she says, or she's asking, was Bossier in the running at some point? Well, that we don't know. But we've known that Bucky's has been expanding for a couple of years now. I mean, they've got one in Georgia now and all that, expanding outside of Texas. So the real question is, why wasn't Bossier in the running?
Look, they have been looking. It's not a question mark at all. In fact, Rex, it was maybe a month or two ago, I heard there was some deliberation about maybe a Bucky's coming off of I-49 in North Caddo Parish, up there north of Shreveport and Bossier, way up there. So you would think if they were rooting around, they probably would have considered Bossier or I mean,
maybe. Now, Now, Ronnie did say on the interview with Keel this morning that the anticipated traffic on I-20 is about 10,000 cars less than the Terrell location, which is off of Highway 80 up there. Of course, Highway 80 is 6 lanes up there or whatever it is. But anyway, but he said when you add in 167 traffic and then Highway 33, which heads up to Farmerville traffic, they're about a mile or two away from the exit, but people will certainly exit a mile or two to go to Buc-ee's, and that actually puts them exceeding the Terrell location traffic. So it'll be interesting. Let's see what Mr. Cheatham here says. He says Ruston is beating us to the punch on several things lately. Buc-ee's was looking at land in Houghton, would have been a good catch for Bossier Parish. Very interesting. Were they looking at that spot right off the south side of 20 where they've got all that cleared land right there, Shane? Do you happen to know?
Okay,
yeah.
hey. So for David Womack, he quit using the exclamation point. So David, with that said, since you stopped using the exclamation point, the famous writer I was referring to was Mark Twain. And Mark Twain wrote, "One should never use exclamation points in writing. It is like laughing at your own joke." That was the quote I was trying to think of.
I will have to remember that. I'm also sharing, and this was shared by Lincoln Parish Online. This is a school board memo that was shared out. And apparently, let me see, I've got this in the notes. Let me make sure I get this right. There are apparently the school board over there in Lincoln Parish is trying to use part of the Louisiana pilot program, which is payment in lieu of taxes program, which is more flexible than the infamous ITEP program, which is mainly just industrial tax abatements or whatever it all is. So anyway, they're looking to use that in conjunction with the city and then the police jury over there as some more incentives for Buc-ee's. All right. Any questions? Any more questions about Buc-ee's?
It would seem that they are being very proactive over there in Ruston, and we may have to reach out over there and see what they got going over there and share it with Bossier, so we could get to being proactive over here.
Yeah, let's see. I want to show one more thing. This is a screenshot. I'm not sure how up to date this is, but of course, Buc-ee's has these up for those of you that have been. You've seen these up in Buc-ee's and around. They actually pay pretty good. I mean, like, their car wash manager or something makes $115,000 a year. I mean, it's insane. So they actually do. Yeah, they pay well. And I can, as a paying Buc-ee's customer, I can also attest to the fact that their employees are top notch.
Well, I will tell you that I kind of, Buc-ee's makes me mad because they don't let trucks in there. I mean, and you know what? Hey, there's a lot of trucks, but I get it. They're marketing to a special crowd. I mean, and I don't know. Maybe it's because we got QTs here, the reason they didn't want to come here. I don't know.
Maybe so. But you can look at it this way. Here, we're trying to literally subsidize to the tune of $1.5 million or more dollars, tennis courts. Over in Ruston, they're getting multi-million-dollar retail establishments that are coming in. Here, we get a few more Mexican restaurants. And nothing against Mexican food. I love Mexican food, but we have enough Mexican restaurants and hamburger joints to, I don't know.
Okay, Laura Newbert, I got to correct you. Now, a lot of you may not understand this and you may not get this, but if you've been out west, say Arizona, New Mexico, or, anywhere west of there, have you ever been to a Little America? Rex, have you ever been to a Little America?
I'm sure I've stopped at one before, but it's been so long.
Because Laura Newbert says the best bathrooms ever. If you've ever been to a Little America, Little Americas have the best bathrooms, hand down.
I don't know. About it. I don't know. Buc-ee's is spit shine clean.
But I'm telling you, I have been to both. I've been to a Buc-ee's, and I will give Buc-ee's high marks. I will honestly say that Buc-ee's are top of the line. They're top shelf. No doubt about it. But little Americas are above that. They are, if you can imagine that. But we don't have any here.
I'll take
Why
your
do
word
we
for
not?
it.
Why do we not have any here? We should have some here.
Yeah. Okay. So enough about Buc-ee's. As I pour my coffee from my Buc-ee's little coffee mug into my Bossier watch coffee cup.
So
Anyway.
look, most people watch our show so that we can tell them about Bossier City, right? I think the majority of the people watch our
Bossier
show.
City, Bossier Parish, general area. Yeah.
So what good would a Bossier watch be if we didn't have something to report regarding Bossier City?
Well, that's true. I mean, it would be leaving out like a chunk of the reason that people watch the show.
Now, don't you have something, some video, something you're wanting to show regarding?
Yeah, let's start off with that. Would that be the video on the term limits?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, all right. And for those of you that are watching that did not watch last week, this is a little about a minute, maybe a minute and a half. Anyway, video, and it's actually set to auto-publish at 10 o'clock after the show. But it's a little compilation of term limits, and so let's roll this video for just about a minute.
You had a mayor rant on the issue of term limits.
Would it surprise you to know that Low Walker has an opinion on term limits?
More and more people pushing for term limits, and we have a procedure in our charter that permits that should we go, but the ultimate term limits is the voters, and they voted a new person in office, and that's the way voters have spoken.
Tommy Chandler has been where on term limits?
The Shreveport Times says Chandler says he strongly believes in term limits. You know, if you can link me to when Tommy has talked about term limits recently. He even equates not having term limits to corruption. I mean, has he even talked about them recently? Tommy Chandler will support a 3-term limit for all city elected officials.
No, he hasn't talked about them, and he's not gonna talk about them. I got a sneaking suspicion Tommy Chandler is going to get his wish, and we're going to be able to see whether or not he's willing to stand behind his campaign promises here very soon. I got a sneaking suspicion that's going to happen, Rex.
Make sure and like and follow both. Okay. I'll save y'all the last few seconds of the outro to that. Well, what'd you think of that? Was that a good enough refresher on term limits for Tommy Chandler?
I think it is. I think it lays the groundwork for everybody in Bossier as to what they were told, what is currently the position in Bossier, and where potentially it's going to go here in the future, in the near future.
You know, one thing about that video, too, I think that's going to be the first official video that we spend any money on. I think I'm going to boost that post and make sure it reaches everybody in Bossier and Bossier Parish that has a Facebook account. I think we're actually going to, you know, it won't cost us a lot, but I think we're going to actually spend a little money on that.
Now, wait a minute. You're saying that we're going to actually spend money?
Yeah. I mean, it's not much. We'll spend like probably $10, $25.
Okay, so wait a minute. Now, a lot of folks, you know, there's around 80 people watching live right now, and we, so you're saying that we've never ever spent money advertising our show? Nothing? Anything?
No, nothing. I don't think we spent anything. I was trying to think if I had one time
I know the
originally
answer
spent $5 maybe, but I don't even think we spent that. No, I think we have honestly not spent any money advertising the show. It has all been word of mouth, so to speak.
Yeah, and I knew that answer already, but I was just trying to prod you to say it and talk about it. You know, so yeah, that was a conscious decision that we made to not spend money promoting this show because, if the content and the subject matter was of enough benefit to people that people would start watching, people would be interested, it should be able to gain traction on its own merits, right? Wasn't that
Right.
part of our deliberation?
Yes, it was.
So for all of you watching, look, we're just regular folks, just like y'all. And, thank you, because by you participating and you watching, you may not comment, you may not click like, you may not do any of those things, but you simply being here and us able to see that number that you were here and you are watching, that's confirmation to us that you do care about what's going on in your community. You care about what's going on in your government. And look, I'll tell you, the politicians, there's a lot of them, they would just assume, take a pitchfork and stick it in the side of our heads. They would love that nothing more. They do not like us talking to you. They do not like us putting this information out there. But seeing that number and seeing you here, that's what motivates us. We never spent money because we truly believe that if what we were doing was a benefit, you would be here and you would be watching. And you being here is confirmation to us.
Yeah, and let me be clear, the main reason for me, probably boosting that post, but of course, if we get enough shares and likes on it and all that, we may not boost it if we get enough views. But the main reason for doing that is not really to promote Bossier Watch or, promote us as much as it is to remind Tommy and the voters of Bossier City what he ran on, because apparently he's forgotten. I hadn't heard him mention term limits one time since then. Somebody correct me.
No, he's not. He has forgot. But we are going to remind him, and we are being very coy, folks, because there is another shoe to drop in the very, very near future, and it's kind of been in the works. And we've got somebody that's not affiliated with Bossier Watch. They watch all the time. There's been a project that's been being worked on for a little while now, and it didn't just take the issue to come up before the U.S. House of Representatives in term limits, where walk on water failed us. But it's been a subject of discussion, and it's coming. And I'm thinking that maybe next week, Rex, we will be able to go all the way with this conversation on term limits next week.
Well, that sounds interesting. A good little teaser there. And look, folks, so, there's a lot of things where we say, we're working on it and trying to put information together, and it'll be next week or whenever it'll be, because this stuff really does take time. Look, right now, how far behind are we on public information requests to the city? Not us being behind. Charles,
no, not
Jacobs.
us. Yeah, and okay, Laura Newbert, gummy bears. I am eating gummy bears. My wife is not here. She's at the chamber event, schmoozing with all the people that, probably they might normally be watching our show, but that don't like us because we're talking about them. But she's there. So I'm able to eat gummy bears on live shows. I don't have to worry about her, giving me hell about it.
You're going to make me go run to the store and buy some gummy bears. I love gummy bears.
Hey, there's a Buc-ee's in Terrell. Gummy bears.
Yeah, I could run over there and run back real quick. All right, so let's transition real quick, though, because I've got Tommy's stickers listed as a bullet point right here. What is the deal? What are we talking about there to refresh everybody's memory?
Ooh, we're not ready to go there.
We're not?
No, we can't go there yet.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute. I don't see that in the notes.
It's not in the notes. It's up there on the bullet point. See, it's got a little finger pointing to it.
Oh, Tommy's stickers. I got to think on that one just a little bit. You may have caught me there.
Caught you eating gummy bears.
I got to eat. Yeah. We've jumped way ahead because we're going to crowdsource, hey, in a little bit, guys, and we're going to give all of y'all. We done got way off track here. Let's
get to the notes.
Yeah,
let's go down the screen some.
Bossier City. We said we were going to get into Bossier City. So Bossier City today. If those of you want to know what happened, what was a big deal in Bossier City today? Well, I'll tell you what a big deal that happened in Bossier City today was that all of a sudden Bossier City decided they were going to be conservative Bossier City.
Wait, conservative Bossier City?
Yeah,
Huh?
they saved Bossier City money today. Would you believe that? And I'm not talking about just $1 or
Well,
two. I'm talking about a significant number, Rex.
the cynic in me says that they might have saved it to spend it somewhere else or allocate it somewhere else. Hence, some tennis courts that haven't been funded yet.
Well, now
But
that's
it,
probably accurate, but
but enlighten us a little bit for those of us who are not sure what you're talking about. How in the world did the city actually save us any kind of money today?
well, apparently they took a vote and they decided to cut by $500,000 their spending on Sportran.
Whoa. Well, wait a minute. Don't I remember us covering in several shows, and there was lots of information in a big hullabaloo over Sportran, what, about a year ago?
Well, I think it was at the first of this year, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, around a year ago. Yeah,
Hmm.
there was a lot of, Chandler was against it, and then he was for it, and then he tried to throw, the CAO Amanda that it was all her doing or whatever. And remember, there was all kinds of catfish floundering around on that thing. And
Hmm.
then I think they ended up spending more money with Sportran, but then all of a sudden the council decided that, hey, we're going to cut the budget by $500,000. I mean, I think it
Well,
was like 900,000 a year. I mean, they cut.
let me, speaking of that, I've got the video queued up, so why don't we let the city speak for itself? Let me see if I've got this to the right place here.
Council, we have a request for an add-on for today and a deletion for today. The add-on would be new business number 9, introduce an ordinance to amend the.
Whoops. Well, now, of course, YouTube is going to not want to play nicely. See, they didn't get their video correctly archived today, so that's been a challenge. Hold on a second here.
I see that. Hello, Holly Sanders. We see you. Ruth Pope Johnson. Hello.
All right, here we go again.
Motion carries.
All right, 12:35.
Council,
Hold
we
on.
have a request for an
All right, here we
add-on
go.
for today and a deletion for today.
Sorry about the hiccup.
The add-on would be new business number 9, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2023 general fund budget payments to governmental and other agencies by reducing the amount appropriated to Sportran from $900,000 to a maximum of $500,000 for bus services in Bossier City, and be a first reading.
Hmm.
Need a motion?
Need a motion to add?
So moved.
Okay. Mr.
So,
McGrath.
yeah, at this point, they're just making the motion to get it added.
Second. Second. Okay. Mr. Hammonds?
Mr. Chairman, can I give just a reason
Yes,
real quick?
yes, sir.
The reason we're making this, or I'm making this change to the council, is to allow Sportran to start making adjustments to the routes immediately. We've asked them to, since we're going down on the budget to $500,000 due to budget issues, to make, I guess, shorter routes, to serve the citizens of Bossier City the best way possible.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Okay, so enough of that.
Well, so that's all they said?
That's pretty much. Now, towards the end of it, they get into the actual discussion of the of cutting it, but there wasn't any discussion. I think the only thing after that was they recognized, what's that guy's name, De Niro,
Yep.
Washington or whatever. They recognized him for showing up to the meeting or something. But
Oh, Gary Siska says, wait, Bossier has budget issues? Oh, Gary, there is a debt situation out there. Now, don't listen to Queen David. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah.
Queen David. But that'll be for a future show. But hey, Rex and y'all, supposedly the backstory on this is that Sportran, one of the reasons why they were in need of more money was because they, across the board for their whole, company or whatever, gave everybody a 13% pay raise.
Whoops.
Well, that 13% pay raise was because the city of Shreveport gave all of their employees a 13% pay raise. Well, supposedly, the increase to Bossier was to cover that supposed 13% increase that they gave to all. I mean, they were using Bossier to fund that 13% increase.
Really?
That's what we were told. Now,
and they just got the rug yanked out from under them, so to speak. At least on some money maybe Sportran had budgeted on.
Yeah. Now, why or how Sportran thinks that they need to peg their pay increases or salary increases to the city of Shreveport when they are not an entity of the city of Shreveport, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand that, but that appears to be the case.
All right, so just to save y'all having to listen to some more of the stuff, I fast forwarded to the vote, and just so everybody knows, it motion carried 7-0 to introduce the ordinance to amend or reduce the amount appropriated to Sportran from $900 down to a maximum of $500. So their potential maximum, let's rephrase that, got reduced by $400,000.
Now, I see here in the notes that you have Festival Plaza expansion, so it would appear that Tommy Chandler wanted to expand the Festival Plaza area for open container alcohol.
Well, yeah. So let me move our little time deal back here a second. Let's see, 1858. That should be pretty close right there. Yeah, let's listen for a second to the discussion on that.
Of the Festival Plaza region to enlarge the area included. First reading.
All right. So what they're doing, just to give you the quick rundown, is talking about expanding the Festival Plaza area to include the snow cone place. I didn't write the name down of our little shop down there, so that she can sell snow cones, as Jacobs put it, liquored up.
Wait a minute. Are we talking about daiquiris?
Basically, yeah, frozen drinks. And so people can walk around with them as open containers while they're down there at Festival Plaza, because you can't do that anywhere else, unless you're at risk of being issued a citation or arrested.
Why don't we gotta say snow cones? I mean, because that just cheap. That's got to be something coming out of the mayor's office, so we can sell snow cones.
Let's listen. Hold on. There's a discussion about selling them to children
Motion
too.
made by Mr. Hammonds and seconded by Mr. Smith. Mr. Maggio, would you like to give us a brief on that?
Oh, yes. So downtown where Bojack's, that's right across the street, is the ice cream snow cone place. And, they want to have the liquor there. So I said, okay. So to bring more business down there and help people out, I thought it was a good idea, and they appreciate it. And, downtown Bossier, East Bank District, it's growing fast. And traffic, it's a good thing having Bossier. When it's that much traffic, that's money for Bossier City. And tax dollars.
So I'm not so sure it was Tommy.
I'm not so sure that he wouldn't be in favor of a Buc-ee's.
Is this taking it where eastbound you will be able to go all the way to? Is it going all the way to?
I think you're right.
All right,
I think you're right. I mean, so was it Maggio's idea or was it Chandler's idea?
I think it sounded like it was Maggio's. Kayla Larkin says, wait, you mean to tell me we haven't been supposed to be walking around with a drink down there? You can in the district. What they've got to do is expand the district to include the snow cone stand.
Boy.
Julie Ferris says expand.
I'm biting my tongue.
All right, let's listen some more.
I got the car parking lot for Red River Chevrolet, or is it just
right behind it?
Right behind it?
In that alley right there.
That alley?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The alley goes through.
So I want to get up to 2245. Let me jump up there because there's just showing where the expansion is. Chris asked a good question. Chris Smith does.
This ordinance just extends the current boundaries.
Correct.
There's another process for them to get a liquor license. We're not approving a liquor license.
Well, they have to get a state liquor license,
Right.
and they have to go through our local processes and get the local permit also.
Right, so all we're doing is just extending the district.
Correct.
That already exists.
And it includes more area than that actual business. So this would basically
We
extend
can
the area.
have more snow cone stands, more than just one.
So if there are any future
ice cream.
businesses that want to locate
And ice
there,
cream.
they would be located
Let's
in
get
that zone.
let's get our ice cream liquored up too.
They get approval.
I'm thinking
from
I
the
want to go
NPC
try
and
some
the
of that
city
ice cream.
council, Then they would also,
Right.
they could be included in there.
Thank you.
I believe the current ends right here on this street, and the new one will be right here. Is that correct?
I believe so.
I believe I had a map.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well,
I was trying to get to Jacob's
think the current
famous
is right here.
children's comment, but
Red.
anyway.
Carlotta, have they started the process with your office?
All right, I'll stop it for there because we don't have to hear all that.
well, I mean, look, I don't go down there, but I got to tell you, it sounds like some fantastic ice cream and snow cones. I might have to go down there and try that.
Yeah, we may have to do a remote Bossier watch one night.
Oh, that would be cool from the Bojack's place, because the Bojack's guy.
Yeah.
He said he's non-political. I bet you I can get him to say something political. I have no doubt I can make him say something political.
We might
It would
can,
almost-
especially if we come in there with some liquored up snow cones.
It would almost be like a challenge.
Yeah.
Maybe
would.
we could get Maggio, the councilman in that district. Maybe we could get, the at-large councilman, the Queen, and Chris Smith to come down. It'd be fun.
Yeah, and I want to be clear. I didn't come up with the term liquored up snow cones. That was Jacob's, and if you go through and listen to the city council meeting, you'll hear him actually say it. I don't have the timestamp queued up. And we did get a proton mail concerning this very thing.
Oh, I did not see it. I didn't look.
Yeah, it came in sometime this afternoon, obviously. But anyway, it was basically mentioning, talking about they're spending time, promoting more alcohol and all that. Honestly, look, I don't drink that much. I drink once every blue moon. But, I mean, if somebody wants to drink, go right ahead. And
Okay.
liquored up snow cones sound great.
Yeah, liquored up snow cones. That sounds very amusing. But I got to tell you, so a lot of folks watching this show, they probably don't find any entertainment in talking about liquored up snow cones. That probably doesn't get their dander up. But I'm wondering if they got a red light camera ticket or a school zone ticket by virtue of a camera in Bossier City. I wonder if that would get their dander up.
Well, it might just. So let's hear the good and the bad and the ugly about these red light cameras. And I want to give a little credit to John Settle. He's been all over this and all over it in Shreveport. So, a little credit out to him with the Inquisitor for, he sends around his email newsletter that's got articles and all that. And so he's been on Shreveport's rear end about this apparently the same company, I guess.
Yeah. But, look, before we deep dive here into this thing, I'm just wondering, everybody watching the show, what do you guys think? Do y'all want to be policed by cameras all across Bossier City? Are you cool with, before we get into the nitty gritty here, I just want to know what the consensus is here.
Yeah.
Y'all think it's cool to have a ticket mailed to you in Bossier City because you supposedly sped down Benton Road or Airline Drive, or that you ran a red light on Shed Road or East Texas or Barksdale Boulevard, or that you, blew through a school zone in, Parkway, South Bossier, I'm wondering, what do y'all think about that? Y'all like that idea? Do you think that's good policing?
Well, I got to say, the Benton Town Happenings Facebook group has people post all the time, taking pictures of license plates and people blowing through the red light up there at Linton Road and all sorts of things. Maybe people will be happy with be happy with the red light cameras.
David Crockett, 2 miles per hour over. What are you saying, David? You saying that if you're 2 miles per hour over, write them a ticket by virtue of a camera? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Let's see. Concerned BC citizen says, I've not a problem with it. Michael Ferris says, Big Brother, a la George Orwell, I'm against traffic cam tickets.
Jimmy Richardson, I like that. He said no.
Ruth Pope Johnston asks a good question, says, don't they require front plates, which we would incur costs for in order for them to work? I think once you blow through there, it'll take a picture the other way and get the rear plate. But that's a good question.
Well, as you know, that most all of the intersections around Bossier Parish, there are plate readers, but they don't like read you coming through the intersection. They read you as you go through the intersection. If you look at it, it's catching you going away, and they're logging. Every time your vehicle, they're patterning you everywhere. I mean,
well, I don't know. What's your opinion? I mean, I'm not for them. Not at all. And I don't generally speed. If I go 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, that's a lot, actually, for me. My kids are on me all the time, so I drive like grandpa these days.
No, I'm not in favor of it either. I mean, look, is there people that, drive erratically? Is there people that maybe this could catch or whatever? Yeah, but I see too many problems with it. And you being the tech guy, I would expect you would be kind of like getting all up on me about this. But you showed cut two. For me, I always kind of look at it a little bit deeper than that. I think it was Rex, maybe a year and a half ago, you and I did a little bit of discussion on the plate readers, and we did a little research.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And the problem with the plate readers was that every day you guys going through an intersection, your plate is read. So every day you go to work, your plate's picked up, and a company that, if the parish contracts to them, which we haven't done the thorough research on that, but what I found, or what we found in a lot of other, places, was that these plate readers, they were logging your activities every day, Monday through Friday, Saturday, every day of the week. They're logging it.
Right.
All of that data is going to a database, in some faraway town, city, wherever, all being compiled, and everybody knows everything about and can pattern you and your lifestyles, the whole 9 yards. Do you like that, or do you not like that? Is it good or is it bad?
And I can make the argument that if they, the mysterious they, wanted to pattern your lifestyle, then they absolutely could. But I agree with you that having these red light cameras and camera readers just makes it that much easier for they to do it. And the problem is, it's bad enough if the government is going to be the they, but when the they is a private organization, being the capitalistic pig that I am, I can see this as a marketing ploy gone awry.
Okay, now to say that they is a government organization and that, the information is utilized for private benefits, you're making a distinction between the two. So is there actually a distinction between government and private? I'm going to say
a
no.
Government-private partnership.
I'm going to say no, there's not, because
a cooperative endeavor agreement.
If you take the position that you trust the government, you really do think walk on water walks on water. You're one of those people. You believe that.
Oh no, far from what I believe.
But back to the red light cameras. No, I'm not in favor of red light cameras, and I don't know. I think the majority of folks that are posting on here, if I'm reading their posts correctly, they're not in favor of it either. If I'm reading correctly, there's a lot of good content here in what people are posting.
Right.
But the reason And Rex, if you want to peruse through some of those comments for some of the good comments,
Yeah.
the reason I'm against it, it's not based on whether it would be a good police tool or whether it wouldn't. No, I don't like Big Brother. No, I don't think that, at this point in time in our country that the government is on your side. In fact, I think the government is against all of us. I believe that.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
working in all of our best interests. This is a bad idea. And why is it a bad idea? It's not a bad idea because of my distrust in government. It's a bad idea because this has been a failure. And we don't have to look very far except for right across the bridge in Shreveport to see how this is a failure. Who in Bossier City decided it was a good idea to try to get Blue Line Solutions or this red light camera company in Bossier City? Who thought that was a good idea? That should be the question that all of you should be asking. Who thought this was a good idea?
Yeah, let me flip screens here. Hold on just a second. Let's see if that's the one. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
so
right, Michael Ferris. This ain't government motors on this hat, baby.
All right. So let's see. Is this the article that you wanted me to show, the KTBS article?
It is.
Okay,
It
so
is.
let's hit play and let's listen to this for a second.
KTBS 3 right here.
Oh, we got to go through their commercial. Blast it. We'll mute that for a second. Hold on.
They had a
30 seconds.
really good report on this, so that's why we
Here we
want
go.
to show you this. They were kind of on top of it.
Here we go.
Well, the company that has sent tens of thousands of speeding tickets to drivers in school zones in Shreveport this fall is making a tweak after evidence shows innocent drivers have been ticketed. That is what came out of this hearing, where 16 people contested their tickets before an assistant city attorney. Some brought video evidence showing that flashing lights in some school zones come on a couple minutes late.
Have video evidence that proves that your lights are malfunctioning, that the lights do not start flashing until exactly 2:02.
Larry Griffin, along with Robert Hanna, both brought video evidence. They argued that normal speed limits were still in effect when they went by the schools, and that led a police officer who testified and the hearing officer to dismiss tickets for 9 of the 16. The lights, which activate the cameras, are supposed to flash from 7 to 9 a.m. on school mornings and 2 to 4 in the afternoons. After the hearing, Blue Line Solutions, which is the company behind those cameras, they gave KTBS a statement reading in part, "In an abundance of caution, we are going to start our enforcement at 3 minutes after the top of the hour until we have confirmed with city engineering that our times are synced." Most of the fines for those speeding tickets are $135. The latest information we got from the city of Shreveport through a public records request shows those speed zone cameras have issued nearly 30,000 tickets, with fines totaling more than $500,000. Shreveport has received about half that money, nearly $250,000.
Wow.
Okay. Now I want y'all to remember that number, not the fines totaling number, but the 29,492, tickets. 29,492. I want y'all to remember that number. Now, Rex, that was just across the bridge in Shreveport.
Right.
Just across the bridge in Shreveport. Heck, I may even be on that number. I may even be in that list. I don't know. I got no clue.
Yeah.
I hadn't gotten any mail or anything, but who knows? But you know what? An interesting thing. Did a little research, and apparently Shreveport isn't the only place where there's been a problem with those red light cameras.
It would appear so.
Look right here. You got, I think this is Effingham County, which I think is in Pennsylvania, but, or anyway, I don't know. There's a lot of Effingham counties. Same thing.
Yeah. Same company too, or just speed cameras in general?
Same company, but wait, this isn't the only place. Guess what? there's another report from another place, another city and a town. And in this case, this same company actually settles a class action suit against them, because their system was writing tickets wrong.
Wow.
Now
has agreed to pay $175,000 to settle claims made against the speed camera company, according to Dan Law founder and former Ohio Attorney General Mark Dan. Doesn't seem like they have the greatest of track records.
Now look, this was just a simple search on a Google search on the internet here. Any of you guys, you can do this. Y'all go and
I have to remind you, though, according to Queen David, we don't shop around, Duke.
I know we don't shop, but I'm just telling everybody watching our show, because you're free to shop, but just do you a simple Google search on Blue Line Solutions, and you will see. But the overriding question here, and I said it in the beginning, who in Bossier City thinks this is a good idea to bring this to Bossier for the benefit of all of the citizens of Bossier?
David Jones thinks it does, as long as he borrows your truck. I also want to bring up a comment from Laura Newbert. She says, I guess I'm going to have to update my company policy to cover this. My employees drive company vehicles.
Well, not so fast, Laura, because I'm hoping that, informing all of you as to whose idea this is, that you may be able to let them know what your thoughts are on this, grand and wonderful idea in Bossier, and that you may be able to put a stop to it before it gets started. So, does anybody watching the show, do y'all have any ideas as to whose wonderful, and insightful idea this may have been to bring this to Bossier City?
Who could have come up with this just absolutely phenomenal idea? I mean, who could it have been?
There's actually a couple of people, and one's not surprising, but the other, it is kind of surprising.
And our good friend David Crockett says the real question is this for revenue or is driving a problem? So who could have come up with such a revenue generating idea?
Well, it's an interesting thing that you say a revenue generating idea, because there's an interesting twist on that revenue collection that we'll have to share. But as for the idea, there's two names, and one of the names is not going to be too surprising to everybody. One of those names happens to be the Joe Biden of Bossier, Tommy the Chandler.
Really?
Tommy Tahoe Chandler. Yes, sir.
Oh, so Tommy, he can't do term limits, but he can do speed cameras, red light cameras.
That's right. But whether it was his idea or whether it was this other person's idea or not, that's still to be debated. We don't know the answer to that. But I will say, who informed us, our source says that they think that Tommy, just like expanding the East Bank district, got on board with this idea, but that the person that actually hatched the idea was none other than, drum roll please, your new police chief of Bossier City.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because conveniently, he's going to be the guest speaker at the South Bossier Luncheon tomorrow.
Well,
Mr. Cheatham,
to anyone,
if you are watching, that should be an interesting question for your guest speaker, and you should video that.
It should be videoed, and he should be asked, was this his idea or was it the mayor's idea? Because I'm confident that the citizens of Bossier are not in favor of red light cameras, and in fact, a red light camera system that has been proven to be a failure and a system that issues tickets in multiple jurisdictions, as we just showed you on our screen, multiple different jurisdictions where they've had even a settlement in one jurisdiction for bad ticket writing. I mean,
Hey,
how or why should Bossier City citizens be subjected to this?
hey, wait a minute. Now, our good friend David Crockett may be on to something. He says, will they ticket for no Bossier City decal? Now, Tommy may have just shot himself in the foot. Maybe this will be a good way.
Now, wait a minute. I know that state law says that you're supposed to do certain things when you're in government. But just like the police jury in Butch Ford, I haven't seen the police jury say, oh, even though state law says you have to live in the parish, require the parish administrator to live in the parish, right? Well, it also says that vehicles have to be marked with decals, but in Bossier, your mayor, your city attorneys, your CAO, they all don't have stickers. So,
wait a minute. We got a breaking news. Shane Cheatham says he canceled for the luncheon tomorrow due to a funeral. So we'll hope to have him in February. All right, everybody, don't forget. We'll remind you. We need to ask him when he comes to the luncheon. That was his idea.
Well, I mean, look, Chief Hagan, he is welcome to come on the show. We would love to hear about policing in Bossier. He's welcome to come and address that himself. The mayor, he's welcome to come on the show and address that himself. I'll say this. Some politicians, and while the chief is not a politician, and we don't expect him to be a politician, but unfortunately, you have to somewhat be a politician to become the police chief, the fire chief, but for Tommy the Chandler and, some of those folks, I mean, they shouldn't have to have a public information officer to come out and do their bidding on issues. He should be able to come forward and talk on these subjects, but not have some special little show created so that he can go out there and have a love fest to try to make himself look good. He should be able to come on a show like this, accept criticism, and answer tough questions. Tommy, where are you at? Where are you at on term limits? And where are you at specifically on trying to put, cameras on everybody? I got a question. What if that camera catches your Tahoe coming through town with somebody who is not you driving it and a non-employee of the city driving it? I'm wondering, what will you do? Will you have that thrown out? Will you get a former judge to, pull a little favor up in Benton to get that taken care of? How does that work? I mean,
that's
by all means, come on the show and tell me I'm crazy. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm not, that I'm just making that crap up. Tell me that ain't something that happens.
Putting some comments up on the screen, and also I put the legal notice back up on the screen as well, because as a reminder to everybody, they're going to have the city council is going to have a workshop to hear a presentation from Blue Line Solutions concerning their speed enforcement cameras. And that's going to be January the 17th, so next Tuesday at 1 o'clock p.m., of course, in the middle of the afternoon. So if you don't like the idea of these red light cameras, and you don't like the idea of the same company that's had a class action lawsuit against them being in charge of that, then you need to be there at the City Council chambers next Tuesday, 1 o'clock.
Okay. Kaylee Larkin put a shot across the bow. She says, ask the district attorney's office. Now, a lot of you may not realize what she's talking about, but what she's talking about is a non-employee of the district attorney's office wrecking a district attorney's office car into a bayou.
Not just wrecking, drove it off a bridge.
Drove it off a bridge.
How it didn't kill him is a miracle in and of itself.
Well, I would imagine he had been to the expanded East Bank district and was bulletproof at that point. But that's a speculation. There's no.
He was prototyping the snow cones, the liquored up snow cones.
He may have been. That's comedy there. No, that's not. We don't know that. But
yeah, we're just speculating.
Yeah, we're just joking. Anyway, who knows? So anyway, the mayor and the police chief, it was one of those two people's hot, fresh ideas to put cameras on all of y'all in Bossier City to write you tickets by way of cameras. Y'all should press the mayor and the police chief. I mean, maybe this is the new policing in Bossier City. Maybe this is the new public safety for Bossier City, is to write you tickets that you may or may not dispute, or you may or may not actually have committed a crime. I don't know. I mean, there's a track record, and we presented just right here in a simple search 3 different places where people were getting tickets that they weren't due tickets. It wasn't right. That there's problems, and somebody, either the mayor or the police chief, is wanting to bring this to Bossier City. So all you police chief defenders, y'all jump on out here, throw a shot at us. We're good. We're strong. I mean, the proton mail, it still works. Y'all can attack us. You can send us your hate mail. You can send us criticism. That's fine. But hey, Rex, the good news for everybody, here's what I want you to know. Remember me telling you about in Shreveport, for example, the 29,400 and something number, or 500 or whatever? Remember that? Remember me telling you to remember that? Here's the thing. For all those 29,000 something people, y'all don't have to pay that ticket.
Well, wait a minute. You lost me. Maybe it was because I was busy.
You don't have to pay that ticket. If you don't pay that ticket, they're not going to take your license.
No, but are they going to report to credit agencies? How is this going to work?
What they do.
Yeah.
Supposedly, as the story goes, what Blue Line does is they don't go after your license or anything like that. What they do is they file on your credit report. That's what they do. So think about this. If they're going to file on your credit report, that means that almost 30,000 people in Shreveport are taking a hit on their credit. They're going to slowly over time start diminishing the credit of the whole city and all of its occupants. Over time, you're just going to steadily start beating down their credit over time. Before long, our interest rates in Shreveport and Bossier are going to be astronomical. We'll beat the national average.
But they saved $400,000.
Who needs inflation? We got Blue Line Solutions.
But they saved $400,000. Don't forget.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Public safety at its best.
What a deal. Oh, now that would be fun. That would be, I guess it would be like Thelma and Louise, because, David Jones says he'll be a folk hero if he goes through every light in your truck, Duke. And Carrie Siska says he wants to ride. So who's Thelma and who's Louise?
Okay.
Gotta know.
David, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go put insurance on a vehicle. I've got a bunch of different cars that I don't even have insurance on. I don't drive them. They're just, I'm going to go put one on specifically for you, and you drive it. Carrie Siska is going to ride with you, and I'm going to be in the back with a mask on. Now, and I'm just going to ride with you, and I'm going to video it. And you can run everyone in town.
We got to have video.
Yeah, and you drive it, you get the tickets, or well, no, they'll mail the tickets to me. I mean, it sounds like a plan. And then we can all go to Tahoe Tommy's office, the Joe Biden of Bossier, and we can have a debate with the city attorney, the CAO, and the police chief on whose ticket it actually is. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. And Bossier Watch could put a public information request in for the meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we could stop by and get some liquored up snow cones while we're at it. Not the person driving, of course, but the passengers.
Yeah, but that'd still be open container, right?
It'd still be open. Not if we stay inside the district.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hey,
All right.
so we beat around the bush about walk on water a little bit.
Right.
Shouldn't we get to walk on water?
Yeah, we may as well. Let me change my little cute little pointer things around here, and let's do this. So I was I guess I'll kind of start it off, and then we can roll with it from there. So I was listening to Keel this morning, and went back through the replay of the discussion with He Who Walks on Waters, justification or conversation with them about the Kevin McCarthy Speaker of the House situation. And I found something that was a little interesting about that. So I'm going to play this little clip. It's not very long. It's about a minute long, of MJ and what his position was on the Kevin McCarthy deal. And I want to get your take on it, Duke.
You had 20 of the so-called holdouts, some of the conservatives, some of my closest friends and colleagues, held out because they wanted to get these rules changes. And that turned out to be a very healthy process for the long run. It's great for the country because we've got some really important reforms to the rules and the procedures. And some of these are changes that I've been advocating since I first got to Congress in 2017. So the process looked messy, as everybody says, reminds us all democracy is messy. We know that. You saw it on vivid display last week. But we got it in place now. We're ready to go. The rules changes are great. They're going to help the country. And in the end, it would have all been worth it, and I think it will be.
All right. So you heard what he said. He's Mr. Pro. These rule changes are great. He's been trying to do that since he got in Congress. Really? Did he ever vote with the block of 20 that were holding out, that were against McCarthy? Did I miss something?
No.
Did he side with them? Did he get up and give one of his eloquent, silvery tongued speeches about how great he thought these rules changes were and that they were holding out to make sure these got in place?
No, Walk on Water was never there to stand with those folks. He didn't stand. The constitutional conservative never did stand on principle, not one time. He stood with Swamp from beginning to end. He would have stood with Swamp if all these people would have folded tent on the first vote and got nothing. He would have been against them. He was against them from the beginning. He was against them to the end. And like clockwork, and I'm jumping ahead in the notes, I put in here that at what point would he take credit for it? Because mark my words, he will fundraise, he will do a promotion of himself that he did all this. And you heard him just then say, oh, I've been trying to get these things done since the beginning. But when it came time to actually make it happen and to get it done, he was nowhere to be found. He didn't stand with the people that actually got it done. And I posted on my Facebook, and some of the pro Walk on Water people started attacking me. They started going after me,
really?
Rex.
Imagine that.
Yes, they did. They started going after me. And one of the things was the McCarthy thing. I want to know. He stood with McCarthy from beginning to end. To the pro Walk on Water people, I want to know what part of the McCarthy thing does it break the plate for you? I mean, a lot of them. Let's talk about Ukraine. So McCarthy is a staunch supporter of Ukraine. Okay. So for those folks, I respect that. If you want to support Ukraine, I get it. Russia's bad. I'm not saying Russia's good. You're saying, they say Russia's bad. I'm not saying they're good or bad, but what I am saying, everybody has a right to defend themselves. But what I would say to the people that are, no matter what, Russia's bad and Ukraine's good. Okay. This is what I would say to them, Rex. I'd say, well, what about the Azov regiment? Are you good with that? Because obviously Kevin McCarthy is all good with Ukraine and the Azov. And for a lot of y'all watching, if you don't know what Azov is, The Azov Regiment is an old regiment, and Rex, if you go to cut 4, the Azov Regiment is an old regiment of the German Nazis, and they profess about against minorities and the white race and all that crap. That's what they stand for, and your government, is all supporting. That's what we're sending all of our money over there to support, is this stuff.
Wait a minute. And this is, I'm going to take us deviate from the path for just a second. So the same government and the same people that say Trump is anti-Semitic are supporting this, basically, by extension, with our tax dollars. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. So, and you saw, and I don't know, where's it at? I gotta find it. But you saw Kevin McCarthy. He's a big Ukraine guy walking around with his Ukraine emblem on the floor of the House, and Mike Johnson stood with him right there all the way. So is Mike Johnson supporting Azov? I mean, he stood with that. So, I'm just wondering. Oh, and here comes some of the. It dinged up here and notified me that one of the people that was attacking me on Facebook are kind of going after it on this. But they haven't addressed this. I posed this question directly to them on my personal Facebook page. Are they in support of the Azov battalion or regiment, or do they support this? I mean, and none of them would respond to it. They didn't address it. They just glossed over it. In fact, one person that was, arguing on this, they started attacking them, calling them Russian trolls, Russian bots, and this person is no more Russian or a troll or a bot than they're not at all. In fact, they're a longtime Northwest Louisiana resident, and in fact has been a teacher in our local area, a highly respected person, and people in our community, their thing is to start attacking them as being pro-Russians, and it's not that at all. Are we in support of white supremacists in the Azov battalion or not? Democrats formerly were against them. You see this post right here where they were, but now Scalise, Mike Johnson, Kevin McCarthy, they're all on board with this. Send them more money. Send them more money. Anyway, I beat that to a dead horse.
My, what a tangled web we weave. And that's the problem. And I'd just like to point out the hypocrisy of it all, because in one breath, MJ will, sit there and criticize Democrats and criticize liberals for doing this and doing that, but they turn around and do the same thing. Literally. Yeah. I mean, the same thing.
Absolutely.
It's just a different side of the coin.
Well, that ain't the only thing. So what else about Kevin McCarthy? Why else, was, say, all of the people opposing Kevin McCarthy? What were some of the other potential reasons? But Mike Johnson was fine with continuing to support Kevin McCarthy when the true conservatives were opposing him. Well, I mean, it said that, he raised all this money to support Republican candidates. Well, I would contend that he raised a lot of money to support swamp candidates or candidates that supported continuing the money scheme, the money tree deal. In fact, I mean, it makes me wonder, why did Robert and Aaron, I didn't watch it, you watched it, did Robert and Aaron ask Mike Johnson about maybe Kevin McCarthy's fundraising via FTX? Did he talk about the $30 million that Kevin McCarthy was said to have taken from, you see it down at the bottom, that Ryan David Salmi or whatever, that was the FTX guy. That's one of the little donations, but it's said to be to the tune of $30 million. I'm just wondering, since Mike Johnson, Walk on Water Johnson, was standing with Kevin McCarthy, does Mike Johnson support the defrauding of, I don't know what the number of Americans were, in this thing. I mean, is that cool, Mike? Are you fine with that? I mean, I'm just wondering. So, everybody at Cypress, are y'all good with that? I mean, I've obviously y'all are. I mean, I guess if y'all are, if somebody watching the show, if you're one of the people that lost all your money and or maybe even went bankrupt via FTX because of this fraud, maybe you ought to ask Mike Johnson if you can get a refund, or maybe if he can, out of his campaign monies that he doesn't send to Kevin McCarthy, that maybe he could reimburse you for the FTX money, because he was standing here tall, for it. He certainly couldn't get on board with the conservatives. So I don't know. You guys have to ask him that. He won't come on this show and
it's
respond
a valid
to it.
question. Valid questions. Guilty by association, direct association.
Yeah, and we haven't even looked up. It's my understanding that Johnson, he fundraised and threw in money into the Kevin McCarthy kitty, along right there with FTX. So by default, I say that he says he stands with FTX. And,
it's not that far of a leap to say that.
And look, I'm not even going to raise the Pfizer issue. I mean, you guys out there, y'all do your own research and look a little deeper, and I think you'll find a connection to Pfizer in there somewhere too.
As a matter of fact, let me play another soundbite from the Keel interview with Mike and McCarty, and it kind of ties into that.
So Kevin McCarthy, everybody has to remember, he's been the top elected Republican leader in the House for the past several years. In this last election cycle, in the last 2 years, guys, he raised $500 million for his colleagues, $500 million and some change. He traveled around the country campaigning with everybody. He did more than anybody else to win the majority. And in November, he secured the votes of nearly 90% of all the House Republicans.
So there you have it. And for full context, you can go to Keel's app and you can listen to the whole interview or whatever. But for full context, he never mentioned one conservative principle or one conservative thing that McCarthy stood for. He mentioned the fundraising.
I mean, look, just today, they passed the defunding of the 87,000 new IRS henchmen coming after y'all. Did you read that today, Rex? Or
yes,
y'all watching? Did y'all see that?
Yeah, the House passed it.
Okay.
It's not going to go anywhere.
Mark my words. Watch, Mike Johnson will take credit for that.
Yeah.
He'll be putting out there taking credit for that. But you know what? That wouldn't even have come up for a vote had it not been for one of the 20 people that stood up, that had a backbone. It wouldn't have come up if it hadn't been for them.
Oh, but he's already beat you to the punch. He mentioned that in the interview as well. I just didn't get the soundbite.
Well, see there. I mean, he's going to, all of you out there, he's going to walk on water. He's going to, all these things is thanks to him, all of it. And the truth of the matter is, when it come to, standing straight, putting your back up, and standing when it took a backbone to do it, he didn't stiffen his spine and do it. And the thing is, he's not ever going to do it. And unfortunately, that's what politics is all about these days. People don't stand up. I mean, and we as the voters, we vote for, look, Mike's got pretty hair. He's articulate. He speaks well. I mean, he's a good looking guy. I mean, he says all the right things. That's what you vote for. That's what you vote for. And look what you got. You've got another squishy guy who's fallen the way of the swamp, who's, going to do what's in his best interest, not what's in your best interest. Because when it came to standing up with those 20 showed you what it took to stand up. He didn't stand with them. He wasn't there.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right. Well, Mr. Lowry, what else shall we talk about tonight? Because I think we've thrashed MJ around enough for tonight, maybe.
MJ told me one time. I'm gonna give y'all a private conversation. And MJ, if one of your peeps share this with you, and you'll remember this moment. And, when I pressed you and you told me, you said, I'll, I'll debate you anywhere. Remember, I'm a lawyer. You know what, MJ?
As a constitutional lawyer.
You're welcome to come on this show and let's finally have that debate, because we never was able to have that debate. In fact, the closest we ever came to a debate, was whenever I tried to censure Ryan Gaddy for supporting John Bell Edwards over David Vitter, and you opposed me. I know everybody watching, you're like, what? Wait a minute, what did he just say? What did he just say? Oh, yeah, that's right. When Ryan Gaddy was supporting John Bell Edwards against David Vitter, I made a motion, because Ryan Gaddy was the vice chairman of the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee. I didn't think it was right. I made a motion to censure Ryan Gaddy, and it failed. The reason it failed was because of Mike Johnson and Richard Ray. They wouldn't support it. The conservative
baseball,
the staunch conservative Republicans. So, Mike, I'll take you up on that challenge that you'll debate me anywhere, anytime. If you want to come on our show, you're welcome to come on and defend. You're not standing with, Matt Getz, Lauren Boebert, all of those true conservatives who stood up for principle and on their own made a difference for this country, and arguably may have steered our federal government into the right direction against you. In spite of you, they did it. They were able to accomplish it. No help from you.
Even if they were just able to steer it just a little bit in the right direction for a brief moment, at least they made the attempt.
Yeah. So there's one last thing on our list, Rex.
Okay.
Scroll down the notes. They're at the end.
Let's see. Oh, crowdsource.
Crowdsource.
Yeah, which I do have on our bullet list on the screen, and we don't really have any notes, but we don't really need any notes for this. So what are we talking about with crowdsourcing?
Yeah, so look, guys, in a previous show, we kind of mentioned this. We said, and we had a few people that responded, and we didn't follow up on it. It's our bad. We made the mistake. But, we are always sending these public information requests out. A lot of them go to Bossier City, because that's kind of where our primary focus has been, because there's been a lot going on there. But we send them to other places. We've sent them to Plain Dealing. We sent them to the state. We sent them all over. But it's getting to where it's kind of being, I hate to say it's being taken for granted on our public information requests. We're not super pushy on it, but I think we're being ignored on some public information requests.
Surely
not. No, surely not. So, and I think that's a little bit personal. So our idea was that maybe we should crowdsource, and in us saying this, one, we're enabling you to become involved, and two, I think we're sending a message as well too in doing this, that if you are going to ignore our public information requests, then maybe if we crowdsource and start having a lot of other people sending these requests, and they too get ignored, it builds, kind of a list of it builds a file per se. I don't know how the words to use, Rex.
Well, it's not anything that's complicated to do either. All right. So a lot of people think, public information request or, whatever, that those are real difficult to do. We've actually posted a template, but look, it can be as simple as just typing an email and asking for some information. I mean, you don't have to follow a certain form, to be honest. We generally do, just to be a little formal with it, but we've posted that template in the past, and I'll reshare it to the top of the Facebook feed and all that, and make sure that we got a copy on the website. So it's not hard to do.
Okay, so what we want to share is for folks that want to participate, if you want to do a public information request for us, email us at bossierwatch@gmail.com, and we will send you what we want you to public information request. We'll send you who to send it to. We'll send you the whole deal, and you follow it through. And once you get the information and the response back, you just send it back to us. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, and this, we're not promoting the Proton Mail account because the public information requests are just that, public information. So this isn't something where, you want to request something, but you're worried about, whether your job depends on it or not. This is information that legitimately is public, and you have to request it to get it.
Just got a message already from somebody saying, hit me with a request, whatever you want.
Imagine
Just
that.
like that. So I'm going to send one of the information requests that we've already requested together to this individual. They'll send it off, and then the next person that hits us up will send one of the others, and we'll keep sending them out. We'll probably send some that we've already sent, and that will show if they deny or don't respond to your request as well. That will show multiple people being ignored by the same government entity, and that, I would say, builds a case.
Well, yeah, if I remember my open, well, had a mind blank here for a second, but if I remember my law on that correctly, they have 3 days to respond to the request. That doesn't mean they have to give the information within 3 days, but they at least have to respond, and if they're not able to fulfill the request in a timely manner, give a reason why they need more time. So, they may come back and say, look, to research this information, we anticipate it's going to take us a week and, an X amount of time and all that. So that doesn't mean that you get it back immediately. There is a little bit of leeway in the law for those that have to fulfill the request of the information.
Now, hey, Mark Smith says, how much did Renee have to pay Cypress? Public request that. Mark, that is a great question. In fact, I will make that request at the same time I make the request for the Supreme Court of Louisiana's judgment on the Louisiana AG being able to weigh in or not on that case. How about that?
Yeah, that's an interesting deal.
Love you, Mark Smith.
I think
you should show up more often.
Yeah, actually in real person once upon a time. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, did we actually answer that question yet? Because I can't remember the amount right off the top of my head, but I can certainly look it up.
Wasn't that a settlement?
Yeah.
Wasn't that an agreed upon deal? That wasn't like, I mean, so I think that Renee and them had to, or they agreed to whatever that number was that came up with, Mark. He knows that already. So
yeah, all told, this was several $100,000 by the time you figure the attorney's fees and everything built into it. So, but the amount that they had to pay was not that much, but was a pretty good chunk.
And I have gotten another person that's messaged and raised their hand to say,
that was fast.
Send me the request. I'll send it off.
Yeah. Excellent. See, crowdsourcing already.
So the more people we get to start sending these requests, I mean, look, I would hate to be a city attorney on the other end of all these requests about to start pouring in. I mean, I would not be mad. I would be like, you know what? I'd love to have it just with one person.
Citizen participation. Hey.
There you go.
All right. Okay. Do we have anything else to ramble on about tonight?
I think that's it. Next Tuesday is going to be, it's going to be a heavy week. You guys are definitely going to want to tune in because the city council is sure enough going to be kicking next week. I think there's going to be some fireworks. And as well, I think that there's going to be some other things that we've hinted around in this show and the previous show that are going to come full circle next show that are going to be smash mouth, and you're not going to want to miss it.
You have piqued
How
my
lame does
interest
that sound?
again.
I sound like one of those stupid people on TV. You're not going to want to miss it.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Lowry, it has been another fun evening to spend a couple of hours with you. We are on, well, we've just completed show number 138, and hopefully many more to go. Oh, yeah, Michael Ferris, we did mention the Cheatham podcast, that he's thinking about doing it. He put that on his timeline, so I don't want to share all the details because he didn't share it to everybody. But want to mention again that we think, more people talking about Bossier and Bossier politics and things that are going on in Bossier, the more the merrier. So bring it on, anybody that wants to post some stuff. We'll even be glad to give you some free advice on how to get started.
Mark Smith, how about that? Blue line penalties are civil nor criminal. Can't enforce them. Interesting. You gave away a little bit, Mark, about who you are. I've already had an idea anyway, but it doesn't matter. It's fun not knowing who you are, actually.
The mysterious Mark Smith.
Have a good night, Rex. Thank y'all all for
Mr.
watching.
Lowry.
Have a good
Thank
night,
everybody. Y'all. Yep. See you next week. We're out of here.